Welcome to In the Arena of Success. This podcast is where courage meets opportunity. I'm your host, Henry Beeman, and every week we step into the arena with visionaries, innovators, and trailblazers from all walks of life. We dive deep into the heart of success and uncover the strategies, the struggles, and the unwavering spirit of those who overcome. The real question is, are you willing to step into the arena and fight for your success? Because in this arena, success is not a destination, it's a journey, and it starts right now. All right, I have the Jeffrey Gitomer on the podcast today. Thanks so much for being here, and thanks for taking the time to join us.
Pleasure's mine. This is my first answer. Yes. Whatever you want, the answer is yes.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to start with my lightning round. It's the same 6 questions I ask every guest, and you're the first guest on episode 1 of the podcast.
Whoa.
That's pretty exciting.
I'm excited.
We're going to start with first question for the first episode is, where's your hometown and what is it known for?
My hometown is actually Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It is known as the city of brotherly love. It's probably the biggest oxymoron of the history of the planet, but it's known for cheesesteaks.
Where's the best place in Philly to get a cheesesteak?
There are none anymore. They're all gone. There's a place called Pat's and a place called Gino's that are the known places, but it ain't what it used to be.
That's the question you often hear is between Pat's and Gino's, and most people I know from Philly say neither.
Yeah, true. That's true. There's another good place, but it burnt down. And there's a couple of places in the Reading Terminal, but I go to Tommy DeNick's, which is where I get a roast beef sandwich, a brisket sandwich, and it's the best sandwich in the world.
Ooh, that
it's all
sounds
about
good.
The bread.
The bread. Absolutely, the bread. So the next question up here, do you prefer cats or dogs?
Cats. Although I'm pretty equal. I can do either way.
Well, this is kind of an unfair question since you talk a lot in your book about your cat Lido from many years ago and him having a business card. What kind of revenue did that drive for you, having Lido a business card?
People would run up to me and ask me for the card in a networking event. I mean, it got so popular over about a 3 or 4 year period of time that I had to reprint them.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's nuts.
What kind of music do you listen to?
I'm an oldie, so I'm a doo-wopper. I'm a 60s classic rock, 70s new age, and probably 80s. I have a more difficult time getting into the 90s and the 2000s. I'm Pink Floyd,
Absolutely. The classics. And what are you currently reading?
I'm currently reading this book, 5 Lessons by Neville Goddard.
Okay. What's it about?
It's about the Bible is full of stories, not characters.
Ooh. Okay. Pretty compelling.
It's actually unbelievable. The most mind-changing, life-changing book ever.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's got to go on the must-read list then.
Bingo. It's a little difficult to start, but I tell you, once you're there, you're there.
Is your biggest inspiration in life?
Well, look, it's hard to say it's not your dad, because my dad was an inspiration to me. He's been gone for the better part of 30 years, and that's a difficult thing, for me to deal with. But living, it's people like Harvey McKay, who I interact with on a regular basis, or Wyatt Woodsmall, who I interact with on a regular basis. People that are in my club, and, Jay Abraham, we talk, and I'm very blessed to have great friends, not acquaintances, but genuine friends.
Right.
And they inspire me and influence me, but I don't want to be like them. I want to give them information. They give me information. I decide how I use it and what I put into practice.
Absolutely. That's a great way to look at an inspiration or a role model, is not necessarily just something to copy and be the same as, but to be unique, be your own self, and put your flavor to whatever you're doing. Last question of the lightning round here is, what is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
I'm riding to a client's place in Chicago, Advanced Process Supply. The CEO is like my dad. I'm in his car, and I say to him, Mel, I don't ever think I've ever seen anybody luckier than you. Every idea you put out turns to gold. The luckiest guy I've ever seen. And without hesitation, he looked at me and said, Jeffrey, hard work makes luck.
Mm.
And I said, oh, think about that.
Well, it's definitely not something that you've shied away from
No,
in your career.
that's true.
Hard work is something that you've put to the test and published 17 bestseller books.
Yeah.
Incredible work that you've done. But where does your story start for you?
Well, I've always been selling something. I've sold candy bars when I was a kid to raise money for charity. I sold firecrackers in grade school and high school. My parents brought back from Florida. I sold homework in college. And so I've always had the knack to, receive money. But when I started to learn how to sell, when I got involved in personal development, that changed everything. And then the next change was when I started to write. That changed everything.
What was it about personal development and writing that took you to the next level?
Henry, personal development made life real. I realized that I could become who I wanted to become if I studied about it and took action. And I did that on an everyday basis since 1972, still doing it. I need to read another book, but I do, and I read it with avarice. So
Right.
I'm there on an everyday basis. And then writing helped me understand what my thinking was. I could clarify my thoughts. And then speaking made it even clearer because I could talk to an audience and put my words into their mind and they would take action as a result of it. So studying and reading, writing, and speaking those are the things that I do.
Right.
I'm a sales guy, and that's what salespeople are supposed to do. Most
Well,
people don't do it.
Something that most of the listeners to this podcast right now don't know is that you're sitting in one of the most incredible private collection libraries, I'll say, in the world.
Yeah.
And surrounding yourself by those kinds of thought leaders. What does it do for you just to sit in a room with all those books?
I can tell you it's inspirational on a daily basis. I walk by my place and I go, holy shit, this is my place.
Right. Yeah, I think that's something that everybody in today's world could use more of, is surrounding themselves with things that inspire them. Something that says, wow, that's cool. This is why I'm doing what I do. So as you were growing up in the sales world, where was it that you cut your teeth and learned how to sell?
Manhattan.
Okay. And how did you learn
Well, I
to
already
sell in
had sales
Manhattan?
experience. I already have sales knowledge. Well, when you go to New York, it's like different than any place else on earth. Everyone already knows everything. Everyone already knows everybody. Everyone already has a brother or an Uncle Louis, something where they can get a better deals than you can ever offer. Everyone wants a bride. The language is not exactly Puritan. And you have to put yourself in a position where you're willing to accept that as part of the process. Some people can't take it. Some people just don't understand how to do what to do. But in New York, if you can cut it there, you can go anywhere in the world and make it happen way, way better and way, way easier. New York is tough.
So what were you selling in New York?
I manufactured my own leisure furniture. I made beanbag chairs, and that was in the late 60s. And then in the 70s, I was selling imprint sportswear.
Yeah, beanbag chairs are definitely an icon for the late 60s.
But I made my own. I was a manufacturer and the CEO.
Wow, how did that happen?
And I liked what I did, and I invested money to start my business.
As you were learning to sell in Manhattan, you faced the tough streets, if you will. What were some of the challenges that you faced, or a time when you said, am I doing the right thing here?
I never questioned my ability to do the right thing. I never, ever questioned what I was doing. I just worked at it harder.
Okay.
But I will tell you that the barriers are other people getting in the way of you succeeding. So I have to figure out a way to convince them that's basically non-manipulative, but attention-getting. So I would go into a sales call with an idea rather than just a sample. And that separated me from everybody.
Absolutely. Well, I think you hit on something really key there, saying that you never questioned yourself. How did you build that mental resolve?
I grew up in a family that had money, so I just assumed I was going to have money. Your family surroundings tell you where you're going to go.
So all in the mindset. And I think that's really, really incredible, because I think you see a lot of people today with a lot of self-doubt, anxiety, fear. I don't know if I can cut it here, and you've kind of faced this roadblock of, do I keep pushing or do I quit and throw in the towel and go do something else?
Correct. That's correct.
So from there, you're selling beanbag chairs, and you talk about coming in with an idea versus just a product. Do you have any examples of that you can share?
Oh, yeah, all kinds. There are longer stories than the podcast will permit, but suffice it to say that I was able to get in any door if I had an idea. I was able to get in no doors if I had a brochure. And bring an idea with you when you go into a place to help them. Bring an idea for them.
Right.
Or die.
Absolutely. So it's the generation of ideas. How did you start creating ideas and developing ideas?
I read books about ideas. I read books on creativity. And then I observe. I'm not on my phone. My head is not in my phone. My eyes are all around the world looking for things and ideas and wow, that's cool, and wow, look at that.
Right. Absolutely.
And if you do it enough, things pop into your head. And if you don't, it'll never pop into your head. I don't watch television. I read.
Observe. That's a key word to hang on to.
Exactly.
So tell me, Jeffrey, about a time when you faced some giants. Maybe they were personal giants or business giants. When's the time that you were really pushed and challenged and had to overcome?
I've had every kind of illness early on in my career, even as late as COVID. I never cared about that. I just took the forbidden drugs and I was fine. But I think that money challenges are always there, especially if you're an employer. Tragedies in families are always there. That you have to overcome, and just life in general that puts these things in front of you, the challenges of that, and you have to have the attitude and the fortitude in order to be able to make it happen. You don't have those two things, you lose.
Absolutely. Tell me about, what is your attitude when you wake up in the morning?
I don't have anything that keeps me up at night, but I have all kinds of things about what gets me out of bed in the morning. And so I have, a ton of things I get to do today, and I get to choose what I want to do. That's the cool part.
Yeah, and I think that's a really cool phrase. Not what keeps me up at night, but what gets me out of bed in the morning.
Exactly.
So these days, what gets Jeffrey Gitomer out of bed in the morning?
I'm doing an AI project. I'm helping other people write their books. I'm doing all kinds of stuff. I'm going to Paris in another couple of weeks. I have things that are rolling for me that keep me not motivated, inspired. Big difference.
Ooh. Talk about that difference.
Motivation's a 2-day deal. Inspiration's forever.
Ooh, absolutely. We're on the same page there.
Good.
That's why this book is called Live Inspired, not Live Motivated.
Exactly. Exactly.
The inspiration is that spark internal that keeps burning and keeps the fire alive.
Yeah. And you can't throw it away. It's always there. And it's important to stay in your own lane. It's important to stay in your own world. And the reason that I don't watch television is I don't want to be in somebody else's world. I'm not interested in their world. It's other people's drama.
Right.
Whether it's news or some Thursday night, 9:00 bullshit, I can't deal with it.
It's mostly negative, too.
Almost always. Or it's so tense, there's so much drama that you get all worked up about it for nothing.
So tell me about your methods for overcoming challenge.
I have a plan for what I'm going to do, and then I do it. I don't wing it. I put 5 things down on a piece of paper, and I have my direction. I direct myself, but I direct it with a game plan, not just let's see what happens here.
Right. Well, I've heard you say multiple times about your morning routine, and I think that's part of your plan.
Yes. I wake up in the morning earlier than most, and I do 5 things. I read, I write, I prepare, and that causes me to think and create. That's it.
Incredible.
I've been doing it for 30 years.
Might as well do it for 30 more.
Yeah. And that's it. I'm going to quit.
So as you're writing in the morning, what sort of things are you writing? What are you working on now?
I write my observations. I write what I think about it. And whatever I do, I voice to text it, and then I put it into a doc. Well, some of it's business, some of it's for customers, but it's always extemporaneous, and it's always right on the money. But it's always captured. I don't handwrite anything. You lose the paper, you die.
Right.
Well, I journal. I don't journal.
And keeping that log of things, I've started doing that. And when it comes time for me to write my monthly article for the business journal or something else, it's easy to scroll back through that
Exactly.
note that I have saved and
Exactly.
find some topics.
Exactly.
It's like, put it together and expound on it.
Yes.
So your number one selling book is The Little Red Book of Selling. I have a copy of it
Yes.
back here. What is your favorite book that you've written?
Little Gold Book of Yes Attitude.
Okay.
It's the best book I've written. It's about attitude, and it's very autobiographical, although I never mention myself too much. I wouldn't know how to write about attitude if I didn't experience it myself. Part of the deal.
What are the top 2 or 3 pieces of advice from that book on attitude?
Keep negative crap out of your way. Stop worrying about other people's drama and focus on what you can do, not what you can't do.
Sounds like a great yes.
Yeah, it's an easy one. It's a very easy one.
That's an easy
Most
one,
people
for
don't
sure.
understand it.
Right. What's next on the agenda for Jeffrey's writing? What are you working on?
I'm going to write a book called From Shit to Great Because You're Not That Good. And it's all about how you can get yourself to a level where you can begin to achieve, as opposed to the books that are personal development books that you already think you're at that level and you're not. From in bed in the morning or thinking you can't do it, or $200 a week or $500 a week to become a thousandaire so you can become a millionaire. Everybody wants to tell you how to become a millionaire. I got to tell you how to become a thousandaire. Exactly. Somewhere along the line, you got to earn money to put gas in the car.
Absolutely. It seems to be a recurring theme, and what I'm talking about lately is the impact of social media on our world today. One, if you're a business person, you absolutely have to be there. There's
Correct.
no way around it.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. This is your first podcast. I'm going to give people things that they can do for themselves so that they can become a better person. And then in another 6 or 7 weeks, we're going to come back and review and see what has happened.
That sounds like an awesome plan.
Is that cool?
That's cool.
Okay.
Let's
and
do
these
it.
are difficult things to do, although they don't seem difficult. Ready for number 1?
Let's hear it.
Love what you do or get the hell out of it. Life is too short to do shit you don't want to do and hate it and then come home and kick your dog and argue with your wife and let it spill over to your kids. Do what you love to do, even if it's less money.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, whatever you decide you're going to do, be the best at it or don't start. Why would you get into something and not want to be the best? Look at any musician. Look at any magician. Look at any baseball player. And that will tell you what you need to do in order to really achieve. There's no major leagues for selling or entrepreneurship, although it's pretty easy to measure by the size of their yacht. My yacht's bigger than your yacht.
Right.
Number 3, have an attitude that is so great that other people can catch it from you. Is your attitude contagious? Huge. So you have to study attitude every day. Next thing is, you have to have a reputation, because whether you realize it or not, whenever you're going to meet with someone, the first thing they're going to do is Google you. Not your company, not your product. They're going to Google you, baby. And that's the killer. So if you're listening right now, Google yourself. If there's not anything there, you might want to start to build that as part of your reputation. Go give speeches, go write articles, go do something that Mother Google will find and put it up there. Where's your website with your name on it? There's so many obvious things that you can do, but people are lazy. They want to watch television, and they end up dying.
Absolutely, yeah. That same amount
they're
of time
alive,
that
but
you
they're dead.
Right. Same amount of time you spend on a television show, you could write a short article for LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Or whatever it may be.
My last thing is, if you're going to make an investment, the first one you make is in yourself. You figure out what courses you can take. You figure out what books you got to buy. You figure out what kind of library you want. You figure out where you're going to a seminar. Invest in yourself to gain knowledge. You may not use all that knowledge, but you will always have something as a result of it to go back and utilize in your daily life.
Well, there you have it. The top 5 tips to...
There you go. Well, stay away from idiots. That's a big one for me.
That's the 5.5.
Yes.
You always have to have your 0.5 in there, so stay away from idiots.
But, I'll tell you something, Henry. I'm not giving earth-shattering advice. But it's
Right.
going to take anybody who listens to those 5 things time to change themselves to accept them, especially doing what you love.
Yeah, that's a rough one. And you see so many people in the world spinning their wheels on the rat race
Oh my God. They spent
earn a
28
dollar.
years working for so-and-so and they hated every day of it. It's sad, but
Absolutely.
it is what it is.
And that was your journey from pretty much the beginning was to find something that you love to do and do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And I watched my dad and I watched my mom and, I watched people in our family and everyone had a business of some kind or another. And I thought, well, if I'm going to have one, I'm going to love it. I'm not going to do it.
And you went into sales.
Bingo. Easy.
And because you loved it, it made mastery of that subject even easier.
Yes, exactly. If you love it, you can master it in a heartbeat. If you don't love it, you're never going to master it.
So where can people find out more about Jeffrey Gitomer, and where can they find you and find your resources?
The best thing they can do is just go to Gitomer.com, Gitomer.com. That'll have everything.
Tell the listeners a little bit about what you've got going on with Jay Abraham. That's going to be
Jay
coming up
Abraham
pretty
is
quick.
the wizard of marketing, and I are getting together to do a mastermind with Wyatt Woodsmall, the guy that taught Tony Robbins NLP.
Wow.
And between the 3 of us, we're going to merge sales and marketing for the first time. Usually they're at odds. Usually it's like this. We want to make it like this. Because that harmony will create unbelievable profit. I'm going to tell you about marketing from a sales perspective. Jay's going to tell you about sales from a marketing perspective, and then Wyatt's going to bring all the language together.
That's going to be a powerful combination.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine the return on investment for an investment like that to sit with 3 of the greatest minds in the world on business and sales and marketing.
Every month.
So
we're
it's
going to
every
have live
month.
events, and there's 3 live events,
For
one
a
in New
year.
York, one in Charlotte, and one in New Orleans. It'll be fun.
Okay.
It'll really be fun.
Well, everybody go check that out. Gitomer.com and look for the Mastermind with Jay Abraham. Check out all of Jeffrey's books, and you can find tons of resources and information on his website. I highly recommend the GitBit feature. There's tons of articles on there that you can find lots of good free value, and that's something that we haven't even talked about yet, is your model of giving value first.
We will talk about that on our next show.
So we'll have to reconvene.
Boom.
Well, thanks so much for coming on today. I
Henry,
appreciate
it's
it.
my damn pleasure. You take care of yourself.
All right. Take care.
Okay. See you. Bye.
Did you like what you heard on today's podcast? If so, do me a quick favor and hit the like and subscribe button. That way you'll stay updated on all the new content that I publish. Also, visit me on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and tell me what you want to hear more about. I love to hear your comments. That way I can continue to produce content that you love and enjoy. You can also check out my website, henrybeeman.com.